In today's interconnected world, a successful executive presence requires more than just local know-how. It demands a strategic framework for operating across different cultures. Today, we will explore the three essential pillars that form this framework: universal respect, cultural agility, and authentic professionalism. Mastering these principles is the key to building trust and influence on the global stage. So how do we get this right? It boils down to three core pillars. First, universal respect. This is the foundation. Treat everyone you meet with the same baseline level of dignity and politeness. This is a non-negotiable. Second, cultural agility. You cannot possibly know every single cultural rule for every country. But you can develop the skill of agility, the ability to be a humble observer, a quick learner, and an adaptable leader. It's about being present and paying attention to cues. Third, authentic professionalism. This is about being genuine. It's not about being a chameleon who changes their personality. It's about maintaining your professional integrity while showing a true and sincere interest in the culture you are in. When your actions come from a place of authentic respect, you're far more likely to get a positive response. Let's dive into our first pillar, universal respect, the foundation. Universal respect is the absolute, non-negotiable baseline of all professional interactions. It's the commitment to treat every individual with dignity, consideration, and fairness, regardless of their cultural background, their title, or their position. Why does this matter so much? Because without this foundation, all other efforts to build rapport are seen as inauthentic or manipulative. Universal respect signals that you value human beings, not just business opportunities. It is the bedrock upon which all successful relationships are built. In practice, this means several things. First, it means active listening. You must genuinely listen and seek to understand before responding. Second, it means valuing time by being punctual for every meeting. And third, it means maintaining a professional demeanor, staying calm and composed even under pressure. Remember, the key principle remains consistent. Respect manifests as genuine consideration for others' comfort and cultural norms. While universal respect is a single, foundational pillar, its application is not a one-size-fits-all approach. How we demonstrate this respect varies significantly across the globe. The key is that the intent of respect remains consistent, but the method changes. Let's explore a few regional applications of this principle. In East Asia, respect is often demonstrated through a deep awareness of hierarchy. This means using formal titles, waiting for a senior person to speak first, and using nonverbal cues like a slight bow. The intent is to show deference and honor the position of others. In the Middle East, respect is frequently demonstrated through hospitality and personal connection. This might involve engaging in extensive small talk before getting to business, accepting offers of food and drink, and showing interest in your host's family. The intent is to build a personal relationship and show you value them as a person, not just a business partner. And in Latin America, respect is often shown through building rapport and warmth. This might involve a friendly greeting with a handshake or a light touch on the arm, and a more informal and personal conversation style. The intent is to show that the relationship and the human element are highly valued. In each case, the core principle, treating others with dignity and consideration, is the same. But the way it is put into practice requires cultural agility. The more you learn about these regional nuances, the more effective your display of universal respect will become. The second pillar is cultural agility. This is the differentiator that sets truly great global leaders apart. Cultural agility is the ability to observe, learn, and adapt your behavior in real time to align with local norms, all without losing your authentic self. You cannot possibly memorize every cultural rule for every country. But you can develop the agility to respond appropriately when faced with the unexpected. This positions you as a curious and intelligent leader, not a rigid one. So, how do we practice this agility? It's a three-step process. First, observe. Pay careful attention to local behaviors, communication styles, and professional protocols. Notice the nonverbal cues and how people interact with one another. Second, ask. Don't be afraid to ask respectful, clarifying questions. For example, you might say, "Could you tell me more about the proper way to exchange business cards here?" This shows respect and a genuine eagerness to learn. And finally, adapt. Adjust your communication style, your pace, and your level of formality based on what you have learned, all while maintaining your core values and authenticity. Cultural agility isn't an innate talent, it's a skill that can be systematically developed. A very effective way to do this is through the ABCD framework. The first step is awareness. This is about developing conscious recognition of your own cultural programming and biases. You must understand that your normal is culturally constructed. To do this, you can complete a cultural intelligence assessment, reflect on your reactions to cultural differences, and identify your own comfort zones and assumptions. The second step is background knowledge. You need to build a foundational understanding of key cultural dimensions and specific regional norms. This involves studying cultural frameworks like those from Hofstede or the Lewis model, researching specific countries before you engage with them, and learning about the historical context that shapes business practices. The third step is cultural mindfulness. This is about practicing real-time attention to cultural dynamics as they unfold in interactions. You must observe without judgment, notice your own reactions during cross-cultural encounters, and maintain a sense of curiosity rather than frustration when you face differences. And finally, the fourth step is dynamic adaptation. This is where you develop the behavioral flexibility to shift your approach appropriately across different contexts. It means practicing different communication styles, expanding your comfort with ambiguity, and building a repertoire of culturally appropriate behaviors. The most culturally agile executives don't just study culture, they actively practice these skills in each interaction, treating every cross-cultural encounter as a learning opportunity to refine their approach. The third and final pillar is authentic professionalism, the key to trust. This is about maintaining your professional integrity and values while simultaneously showing a genuine, respectful curiosity about other cultures. It is the perfect blend of your core identity with the agility you've developed. But why is authenticity so crucial? Because if your adaptations seem disingenuous or like a calculated performance, you won't build meaningful relationships. Authentic professionalism ensures your actions are seen as a genuine effort to connect, not as a calculated performance. As the quote says, the most powerful cross-cultural executives don't try to become someone else, they bring their authentic self to each interaction while demonstrating profound respect through appropriate adaptation. This doesn't mean ignoring cultural norms or being rigidly yourself regardless of context. Instead, it's about finding that sweet spot where your true professional identity can express itself within different cultural frameworks, building trust and credibility that lasts. The most challenging aspect of cross-cultural executive presence is finding the balance between adaptation and authenticity. Here's how successful global leaders navigate this tension. First, consistency. Be consistent in your values and professional standards, even as your behaviors adapt. Your fundamental principles, like integrity, respect, and fairness, should remain constant, even as their expression varies across contexts. Second, be yourself, but with boundaries. You should show your personality, but within the bounds of cultural respect and professional protocol. Your humor, warmth, and personal style can shine through when appropriately calibrated to the setting. Third, build lasting relationships. Focus on creating genuine, honest connections, which is the ultimate goal of effective global etiquette. Authentic relationships transcend cultural differences and create lasting business value. Let's look at a case study, Finding Balance. Sarah, an American executive known for her direct communication style, was assigned to lead a new division in Japan. Rather than completely abandoning her natural approach, she found a balanced path. She maintained her direct style in one-on-one meetings, but she adapted to a more consensus-building approach in group settings. She also extended her decision-making timeline to allow for appropriate consultation. The result was that her team appreciated both her authentic leadership style and her respectful adaptations to their cultural context, creating strong trust and exceptional results. When properly integrated, the three pillars we have discussed create a powerful approach to cross-cultural executive presence. This integrated framework enables truly effective leadership across diverse global contexts. First, universal respect creates the foundation of psychological safety that enables productive cross-cultural interactions. Second, cultural agility provides the contextual intelligence and behavioral flexibility needed to navigate diverse environments. And third, authentic professionalism ensures that your adaptations build rather than undermine trust, by maintaining congruence with your core identity. Research from the Global Leadership Consortium indicates that executives who master all three pillars are 2.8 times more likely to succeed in international assignments, 3.5 times more effective at building high-performing multicultural teams, and 4.2 times more successful at navigating complex cross-border negotiations. This integrated framework provides a practical approach that goes beyond superficial etiquette rules to create meaningful connections across cultural boundaries, driving real, measurable success. Developing your cross-cultural executive presence is a journey, not a destination. To begin, here is a practical action plan you can start today. Your immediate actions should be to complete a cultural intelligence assessment to establish your baseline. Identify one specific behavior to practice for each of the three pillars. And schedule regular reflection time after your cross-cultural interactions to review your performance. For your 30-day goals, aim to read one book on global business cultures. Practice the ABCD framework in at least 5 cross-cultural situations. And get feedback from a colleague from a different cultural background on your efforts. And for your 90-day development, consider enrolling in formal cross-cultural executive coaching, seeking opportunities to lead multicultural teams or projects, and creating your personal cross-cultural leadership philosophy. Remember that developing this skill is not a destination but a journey. Each interaction provides an opportunity to refine your approach and deepen your effectiveness. As the quote says, in a world where business increasingly transcends borders, the ability to build trust across cultures isn't just a nice-to-have skill, it's a strategic imperative for executive success. We encourage you to begin implementing these principles today, starting with small steps that will gradually transform your global leadership effectiveness.